Hello, and welcome to the Classic Land Cruisers podcast. I'm Dan, your host. You can find me on Instagram at FJ40_UMA_Smurf or on I Hate Mud at Mountain Biker. You can find the podcast on Instagram by searching Classic Land Cruisers. Remember to go to reefmonkey.com to get your Classic Land Cruiser podcast merch. Bring your adventure home with inlowgear.com, your source for custom Land Cruiser apparel and merchandise, where adventure becomes art, designed for the road. This episode was brought to you in part by Redline Land Cruisers, save your F, by Manafree, your one-stop shop for Land Cruiser parts and service, by Valley Hybrids and Terrain Tamer North America. Okay, so welcome back to another episode of the Classic Land Cruisers podcast. I'm in a new, although temporary, recording studio, as I have taken my Land Cruiser to Higgy's Off-Road in Mesa, Arizona, to find out how much damage I did to my motor, if it needs a new one, if it can be rebuilt or whatever. But I have a former guest with me, a former friend or a friend of the podcast, the legendary Rob Tygart. So last time you were on the podcast, you had just done King of the Hammers for the first time. So what have you been up to in the 2 years since? Because you did another King of the Hammers with Kurt Williams as your driver, but that didn't go as well as the first time. Is that correct?
Well, no, actually, I felt it went as good, if not better, because
Okay.
yeah, I mean, we did what we set out to do. I mean, we completed one full lap in the Toyo Desert Challenge, and
Yeah.
that was after 10 miles into, probably about 12 miles into the course, we broke the driver's front main leaf spring. And
oh man.
yeah, and it was rough, man. It was way rougher than the previous year. And yeah, Kurt and I got off the course, got out of the truck. We pretty much dumped everything out we had in the tool bag and assessed the situation. Of course, both of us, and Kurt, obviously, spent so much time down in Baja, and he's been all over the world racing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we scratched our heads and kind of looked at it and kind of took the lead and okay, what do we got to do to get back on course? And we used a old bottle jack out of a Forerunner that I'd welded a nut to with the impact and a couple different size rocks, and we basically wedged it into the top of the bump stop, and we kept using larger rocks, and we kept pushing the shackle forward until we finally got the axle and the spring lined up where it wanted to be. We put two flat type style U-bolt clamps on the spring where it broke.
Yeah.
And then we used ratchet straps to hold it in place. And after doing that, we said, okay, let's, we got back in the truck. And yeah, something I want to touch on. So we were in a situation where nobody knew where we were. Nobody on the team had any clue. Yeah,
oh no.
And we didn't have any radio. Couldn't get out. We had zero cell phone reception where we were at. And there was a point where the team knew we were broke somewhere, but Chad Hall, who I'd raced with at the Mint 400 and the previous year, was also racing. And he had come into the pits, and Britton or Justin, someone anyway, approached their team and said, hey, next time Chad's out, could you kind of let us know where they're at and what the situation is? And this guy, I mean, this the team sport.
Yeah.
We were just about done. We were done with all of our repairs, and we were getting ready to get in the truck after taking some selfies and doing a video. And he stopped, and we just gave him the thumbs up and said, "Hey, we're good." And he took off, and Kurt and I got in the truck, and we finished getting down this really nasty rocky hill. And of course, it's supposed to be desert, but there's rocks everywhere in Johnson Valley. And we ended up getting down, and we took off, and we kept slowly, pushing the truck a little more, 15, 20, 25. And then we got back out into the open desert, and Kurt and I were like, send it. And I think our top speed in the desert with a broken leaf spring with ratchet straps was about 51 miles an hour.
My goodness.
And we were able to finish we finished the race, and it was with a broken leaf spring. We got back, and one of the ratchet straps had started to kind of wear through, and it could have been disastrous at speed, but we just, I wanted to finish. I had my son out there, my grandkids, my wife, lots of family and friends, and and then of course, you always want to get a finish, when you've got, people that have backed you all these years, I mean, the cruiser guys, the community, the sponsors, and then, between Valley Hybrids, Terrain Tamer, Bowfin, Redline, Bradley Wheels, out of Japan, which is a whole nother, that's just an amazing journey in itself, getting to work with those guys, Toyo Tires, Cruiser Cult, Summit Steel, every time over the last 3 years, something has came up, and we've needed something, these guys are like, how can we help? What do you need? My local tire shop, Caritas Tires here in Yucaipa. I mean, they just, anything for the truck. So you always kind of want, you don't want to, we didn't want to go have another Mint 400, although it was the greatest 10 miles of our lives. But being able to finish, and we actually have video of us getting a checkered flag, which was phenomenal. And that was, and that was basically my last King of the Hammers. We're not going to take the 45 out there. And then I had already, it's been a while since I spoke with you. I already had like an idea of my head of where we were going to go to next with the 45. And
well, I do want to talk about that, because in addition to racing the King of the Hammers and rock racing, you're setting land speed records in for the most part, still stock FJ45.
I'd had this idea in my head for a long time. I'd gone on a road trip probably like 6 years ago and went to, Cruiser Fest. And coming back, I'd actually, when the 45 was stocked, driven through Bonneville on my way back to California, and took some pictures, had it out on the salt. So my mind was, wow, people are always asking, what's next? And I thought, man, that'd be kind of cool to take the 45 out to Bonneville during one of the timed events and see what it could do. And the process has always started, excuse me, send out emails, send them to the tech director, send them to, the people in charge, and then just sit back and wait. And if you pass tech, or if you do this, or if you do that, I had actually stopped 2 years ago in 24 when I had the truck at boy, I got a brain fart, at the museum for Cruiser Fest. I actually took the whole truck out there during World of Speed Week and asked them to pre-tech the truck. And this was when it was still 4-wheel drive and everything. And they obviously told me I needed to make some changes with the tires and the truck height and a few other things, put the windshield in. But, if I did all that, they were going to let me run at World of Speed Week in 2025, during the Southern California Timing Association event, which is huge.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so like, okay. So now I've got this in my head and pull the truck next to my little shop. We don't have a garage. And
Yeah.
all right, let's start. What do we need to do? We need to lower the truck. I need to design a straight front axle because we just want to be two-wheel drive. We want to change. We had to change the tires. We needed different rims. And then this is when, again, all the sponsors come into play.
Yeah.
I got a hold of Bradley Wheels in Japan, and we also have Bradley Wheels USA. And they sent me five rims, smaller size rims, and I was super stoked to get those. And then I started working with Toyo Tires, and Todd, the guy that works out here in Southern California, we spent like over an hour looking at tires until we found a tire that we knew would work for Bonneville. And they sent me 5 Toyo tires. And
Nice.
yeah, and then while I was working on the axle, because I had an idea to shave the top of the pumpkin off and then weld a plate on it, and then pull the third member, pull the inner axles, and just basically make it a straight axle. And by cutting the top of the pumpkin off, I'd be able to lower the truck more and not have the oil pan hit the pumpkin. That
Yeah.
makes sense. So
Yeah.
Ryan Apple up at Valley Hybrids, he had a housing, and he's like, yeah, and he cut it off and made a plate for it, and I brought it home and started cleaning everything up and welded it up, and so we have basically a straight axle on the front of the 45 now. And then my guys here in San Bernardino, my spring guy, Big Mac Springs, we took a bunch of different measurements, and he made me a custom set of flat springs, and then we used shorter shackles to drop the front end. We probably dropped the front end a good 3.5, almost 4 inches, in the front.
That is a
So,
lot. That's a lot.
Oh, it was huge because we had a 4-inch lift on it, and then with the 33-inch tires, it was amazing. And then redesigned the shock mounts so we could run shocks in the front. Wasn't worried about the rear. Worked our way back. We pulled the bed cage and the 22-gallon fuel cell and the spare tires. And Pat Format at Summit Steel says, "Dude, we need a bed cover." So he sent me. I went down and picked it up, and they made I couldn't tell, probably like 1/8-inch aluminum sheet that covers. Yeah, that covers the. Yeah, so it covers the entire. And this is all new. I mean, taking a rolling brick and trying to take it out to Bonneville, and so we were coming up with ideas of, airflow, and, it's like trying to make a cow go faster. And I designed this crazy big air dam that we bolted to the front of the bumper, and we had the bed cover.
You had everybody
and
sign it too, right?
Yeah, that was when we got to. So I got a couple shout outs to one of my co-drivers, Matt Carpentier, and then my friend Tony Fish, Rock Cod on I Hate Mud. They came over, and Wendy, and we set up the dates, and Tony actually hauled the 45 on my trailer. Matt was with us for support with his truck, and then, not knowing the weather, we took my truck and my cab over camper, and we took off for Bonneville.
Yeah.
Pretty much the OG group of Rusty Nail Racing was there, and so I think we had probably about, and then George, all the Valley Hybrid guys, Ryan, Rob, his daughter. We had Justin from Redline, and his group came out. So we had originally, I mean, it was like over 20, 25 people there just
Yeah.
for us because it's a Land Cruiser. And then we had just random Land Cruiser people who found out about it that were on their way to Cruiser Fest because it was the same weekend. And
Yeah.
we're coming out. I had a friend of mine, Brent Moore. He happened to be out there from Iowa. He was one of the guys I met on my very first in 2008. My very first cross country road trip was to Tall Corn Cruisers in Des Moines, Iowa, with those guys. So yeah, it kind of came full circle, and we got out and we were, testing different things, and again, Caritas Tire, they I wanted to do something different with the exhaust, so they actually designed a new exhaust system on the 45 with a removable muffler with an attachment so we could just run a straight pipe, which is what we did at Bonneville. And
Okay.
so went through tech, we passed tech. Uh, the truck was running great. Didn't know what was going to happen, and we literally took this thing directly from the desert and put it on the salt. And we made a couple runs the first day, and it seemed like, what I didn't understand was the sniper it just didn't seem like it was producing. Well, I finally realized that this truck's never gone over 45, 50 miles an hour in its life. And the sniper is a continually learning process,
Yeah.
So it was starting to learn, it was starting to figure it out. I was starting to figure it out. I mean, driving on the salt was just completely different than anything else in the world. And at one point I was we were in line, and the group from Bradley Wheels and 4x4 Engineering, who were coming out to Cruiser Fest, showed up a day early so they could come out to Bonneville. And I'm standing
Yeah.
there, or I'm actually sitting in the truck ready to go. And next thing you know, I look over, and here's Guy and all these, I think there was like 8 or 10 of them from Japan that had flown in, just smiling, and we were all taking pictures. And I'm gonna totally kill his name, but Sandoshi, who was this guy's he's a big time guy in Toyota. He was one of the original designers of some of the later model Toyota Land Cruisers,
Nice.
and he was there smiling. So we're going through an interpreter, and it was great because in line you can't have the truck really under power, so you have to push the truck up to the start. So we had, team members, we had our sponsors from Japan, and everybody smiling and laughing and having a great time. So they got to see me make a run while we were there, and came back into camp, and that's when we were running the air dam, and it was like, this isn't really working very well. So a few things happened that day. There's people walking all over the place. There was a gentleman and his wife walking by, and we got to talking, and again, I might kill this name. It turns out that his aunt lived right down the street from Burt Munro in Carvo, New Zealand, and they wanted to fly out to see where Burt Munro in his Indian motorcycle had set the land speed record. So he was one of the first ones to sign the air dam, and then we had everybody on the team sign it, and we were trying to guess how fast we could go and putting their speed on it. And then of course the guys from Takumi and Guy and all the guys from Japan, they all signed it, and it was really a lot of fun. And we took a couple days. We ended up going on Saturday. We did just one run. We did a morning run, and then everybody loaded up, and we all went to Cruiser Fest, which was amazing. And we got to see everybody. And then we went back on Sunday and did our final 3 runs. it was just, like I said, it was fuel delivery issues and learning how to drive. There was a lot of things, could have done different. Uh, but you know what? We weren't out there. We had no clue what was going to happen. I didn't. And our top speed for the weekend was 87.790 miles an hour. And you think about it, in a 63-year-old stock Land Cruiser with a column shift 3-speed. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think about that 87 miles per hour, and I'm like, okay, in my Land Cruiser, when I scorched a bearing or burned
Uh-huh.
up another bearing, I was on my way to a relic run that I was planning, and uh, I was doing flat out, like holding my foot down as far as I could,
Right.
pushing it through the floorboard, and I'm doing 55, maybe 60. I mean, it's kind of uphill, but I was driving flat out for almost an hour trying to keep up speed, and my son's in his new to him 93 4Runner, and he he's just like, bye, nice seeing you.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I'm trying to go as slow as I can.
I'm just trying to keep up, and then another guy passes me. Another guy passes me, and he's like, I promise I'm not using cruise control because I just allowed it to be that 80 series could go on this relic run. And so he showed up in his 80 series. He's like, I promise I'm not using cruise control. I'm not using AC. I'm like,
Right.
I'm going flat out.
Right.
and
Right. Yeah.
and at 60, 65 miles an hour, it's scary driving with a 3-speed.
Yeah.
So
Well, the shorter wheelbase, in the 40 obviously is
yeah,
going to give you a little more. Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, it's tough to get, that much power out of them, but yeah, that's it's funny you just mentioned that. My wife just got back from the Relic Run.
okay,
Yeah. She was out there visiting. Her son Will was there. Matt Walls, Thomas, George flew in. So yeah, I had a bunch of stuff going on here, so I can't go to all of them. So she went
yeah,
back there, and everybody had a great time. And we've been
yeah,
to the Relic One Run 2 or 3 years ago, and it's a great time. Great group of people,
yeah,
man.
yeah, and
And
and I don't think Thomas was there, but uh, previous guest Fabian was at the Relic Run, and I guess when
mm,
uh, when George got there, they gave him of all people, they gave him a Jeep, which I still
yeah,
think
that
is
was
kind of
pretty. Yeah, I was
funny.
one of the first ones to see the pictures of it. He had ordered a 4Runner, and it had not showed up in time. So they said, "Well, we're going to upgrade you." Of course, that got a lot of laughs, and everybody's still having fun with that. But
Yeah,
no, it sounds like Wendy came back, and yeah, it sounded like just had a great time. And I was literally Saturday, so 2 days ago, Summit Steel again. This was the 5th year Pat's done this, but he calls it Cruiser Summit, and it's a gathering of Land Cruisers. Uh, so yeah, this is the 5th year he's done it. It's called Cruiser Summit, and it's just a gathering of everybody parks, and he brings in food, and we hang out. There's a couple of articulation ramps, and it's always a great time, to go hang out. So I had that going on, and so Wendy went back, and now we're boy, fast forward. Uh, I'll get to this in a minute, but back to Bonneville. So we ended up going to Cruiser Summit. We came back. We did what we set out to do. They looked it up. Ours is the first FJ45 model Land Cruiser to ever run during World of Speed Week. Now, whether that's the record or not, we're the first ones to do it. So we were pretty excited about that. And, and it brought a lot of attention to the team, because,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody at, Rusty Nail Racing was there. I mean, we've been such a close-knit family. When I was there in 24 and I got to speak, with Ivan Stewart, all the OG team came out and, to
Yeah.
support it and be a part of it. And it's just amazing. So then we came home from that, and then so I started thinking about El Mirage dry lake bed here in Southern California, because that's been
Yeah.
going on since the 1930s. They've gone up there and, it started out with hot rodders and, and there's been a lot of land speed records set up there. So I got with a club that turned out to be called the Roadrunners, which is our team logo. And I thought this is meant to be, and went to some club meetings and met them. And we had, again, the local kids, Josh and Andy and their baby Annalise, they came up to support us. And then we had some friends, Rob and Karina. They came out, from they're new to the Land Cruiser community.
Yeah.
And a few other friends showed up, and we had a great time, and it was interesting because El Mirage is so much different, like every other race, different rule book, different set of guidelines. And they weren't real happy with the truck for whatever reason. We just done Bonneville, but that's, I get it. That's their setup. So one of the funniest things that was happening was they wanted me to wear wrist restraints, so that way if something happened, your arm doesn't go falling out of the window, or and we
Yeah.
have nets, we have doors, but still it was a pretty strict rule. So someone had given me a set, and you put these things on, and they're like Velcro handcuffs with straps that attach to your lower belt. And I looked at the guy and he goes, "Yeah, you're good to go now." And I said, "Okay, well, how do I shift? Column shift 3-speed, I can't, all I can reach is the bottom of the steering wheel." And they're like, "Oh yeah." Well, we finally worked through the process, and because, like I said, there was some stuff on my truck that, because their rules are so much different, they put a 75-mile-an-hour speed restriction on me, which, again, that's fine. I mean, I know we could have gone faster, and El Mirage is only a 1-mile course, but we just wanted to say we did it. That's kind of my thought process has been all along, is like, people say, "Oh, well, you're not going to be able to do that with that truck." Well, we did. So, we did that. We did just over 71 miles an hour, because I didn't want to break the rules and I wanted to be respectful. But we have a El Mirage sticker on the side of the door now, so we can say we did that. And actually planning on going back to Bonneville again this September. I mean, I really want to I set that 100-mile-an-hour goal for myself, and I really think it's doable in this truck. I've got a few things I want to change. We're going to go back to a carburetor and make some modifications there. So we're going to be running a 4-barrel Offenhauser intake manifold on a 1F motor. So we'll see
Okay.
how that works out. And
Yeah.
Toyo's actually, we're looking at some different tires right now. A little bit of a taller tire, so we can work in a little bit of rubber overdrive into the scenario, and a few other things. But it'll still be fun. If we don't get to that 100 miles an hour, well, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I set that in my mind, and I just think that would be really cool. And
Yeah.
so yeah, we're working on. I haven't even done anything to the truck yet. I've been working on an FJ55 I have right now, and but yeah, I'll start breaking that down in the next month or so. And in the meantime, the team itself, Rusty Nail Racing, when we were at King of the Hammers this year, it was awesome because I was just a regular crew member, while I was in charge of main pit for the 3 races we helped with. And while we were there, one of the guys, boy, I should be writing people's names down, that was at PRI this year, got involved with the Jesse Combs Foundation.
Yeah.
And so they came up while we were doing this, hey, Rob, we got this thing going on, we're going to have them work in the pits, can you find something for her to do? And I was like, absolutely. So we had these 2 young ladies from the Jesse Combs Foundation, and I'd asked them if they'd been a part of any other teams, and they said yes. And I said, well, what'd they have you do? And they said, well, observe. I'm like, well, welcome to Rusty Nail Racing, because nobody just observes. I learned that from my very first start, and I told them the story about, getting started with the team. And so we put them to work. We had them on cone and stop signs and helping, prepare the pit. And the next day we had them on Saturday. And again, they showed up and we were doing the pit crew stuff, and had them running back and forth with me to main camp, getting fuel jugs, tires, had them, prepping, rechecking, all the bead locks on tires, just a lot of little stuff. And they had a blast. They
Yeah.
loved it. It was just, so yeah, Eaton, I'm sorry, Eaton, I forgot your name, but yeah, Eaton was the one that really got the ball rolling with the Jesse Combs Foundation. And
Yeah.
that was really cool. And so since King of the Hammers and getting involved with that, since then, a young man named Keaton, who is at Texas A&M right now, I know his family and his dad, and they're Land Cruiser kids, and they've driven their 40s and built their 40s, and anyway, they have a deal at Texas A&M called Texas A&M Baja SAE. And what they do
Nice.
every year is they in-house, the engineering students, they design, build a single seat off-road type buggy, and then they compete against other universities. Yeah, well, they reached out to me, and again, they followed the team for years and wanted to know if we'd consider sponsoring the university. And so I reached out to Justin, and we worked out a proposal that we sent to him, and they were just thrilled to death that we even got back to him. So yeah, I'm happy to say now that Rusty Nail Racing is now an official sponsor of Texas A&M Baja SAE, and I'm actually leaving this Friday. I got invited to come down to tour the university, talk to some of the students, see the engineering department, and be a part of it. And then on Sunday, they're going to do the unveiling. They'll have an afternoon
Nice.
of unveiling. Yeah. So, and it turns out like Ben and Derek and Mick knows people down there, and Henry, has worked with a gentleman that was, a Texas A&M alumni. And it's just kind of wild, be like, wow, why'd you pick Texas A&M? And I said, well, I didn't pick them, they picked us. So everybody on the team is excited, it's just and they're all getting ready to go down to Nora or Mexico for the Nora 1000. So we've got three trucks running down there, and
Yeah.
so they're going to be a part of that. And it's been I just kind of went from killing myself every week to try to get the truck prepped for the next adventure to, kind of sitting back, being a crew member. And then this Texas A&M thing came up, and so I believe, we're one of the first professional, non-professional teams, to will be represented on a university style off-road buggy. So we're all excited about that. And
Yeah.
being able to work with them on that, and they're looking for just real life experience, and any advice we can give them with logistics or pit, and I learned all that stuff from Britton McNeil. I mean, this guy, when I came into the Rusty Nail camp, he's always
Yeah.
been Justin's main guy, and him and his wife Sarah. So I started at the bottom and holding a stop sign and kept working my way up, and listening, and Britton finally took me under his wing and started giving me a little more to do, a little. And it's funny, I would take notes when I knew the following year I was going to be crew chief. When Mick was driving, the previous year, I started taking notes and how to
Yeah.
just kind of lay out the different pits. So yeah, we've come a long way in the last 14 years. I've been with them,
Yeah.
so it's been great. And yeah. But other than that, we've got that's coming up, and then nothing major until Labor Day weekend, because that's when they moved the date to World of Speed Week. So we'll be up there in September for that. And
Yeah.
again, we just have fun with it, But
You know,
yeah,
it's kind of interesting because as you were making your final preparations for Bonneville, I kept seeing on social media people out driving their 40s and 45s and 55s and whatever, and they were taking pictures of the fastest they were going, and they're like, "Come on, Rob, go get that speed record!" And I had
that
just
was that was so great. There was man, so many epic memories. And so they were doing an event in Australia, and I woke up the next morning and I'm like, wow, I got like 3 different Facebook missed calls from Australia. And Jason Fox, who has a YouTube channel,
yeah, great YouTube channel, by the way.
amazing. What's that?
It's a great YouTube channel.
What was? Oh yeah, yeah. Jason Fox. And if you guys ever get a chance, go watch his builds. It's amazing. He actually did one. I sent him a T-shirt when we were getting ready to do our first King of the Hammers. He did an amazing job showing people what we started with and what we got built and going out there. But yeah, fast forward to Bonneville, and I'm like, I got all these missed calls, and finally they sent me a video, and there was like 6 or 8 Aussies, sitting around the campfire. It's pitch black. I think they'd had a couple, and they're just, go Rob, go, yeah. They're spanning the video around, yeah, break that speed record, mate, and it's just like, wow, from Australia, and then I had guys all over the United States. One guy sent me a picture, and he'd gone out to his 45 and he took a piece of cardboard and duct taped it to the front of his bumper, and he wrote in hand, Rusty Nail Racing on it with a paintbrush. And people were sending me videos of trying to drive their 40s, down the road. I got it up to 78, and it just epic, and that for me is probably one of the best reasons for me to keep doing this, is because
Yeah.
everybody out there is just having so much fun with it, and
Yeah.
it makes it all worth it, when you're out there. And then people are sending you stuff like that, and I get stuff in the mail, and it's like a picture of my truck, or something some kid made. And I mean, we were at the museum, and this guy walked out, and he'd taken some Matchbox cars. He'd actually painted them so it looks like my truck, and it was just, holy smokes, this is on a whole nother level. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's and we just started out to have fun, and
Yeah.
everybody's been so gracious about it. It's just awesome. So now we got the Texas A&M thing coming up, and we're looking forward to that. We'll have Bonneville again in September, and after that, the truck's going to get put back to 4-wheel. I miss having it in 4-wheel drive. I really do. And then, and I haven't decided what or when yet, because all of our safety gear is technically good until June of 2027. So, I am keeping my eyes open for another race, something we haven't done yet, that I could get my son William out, and I want him to drive a lap in the truck so he can get in a race, so he can get his name on the door, because he found it, and he was supposed to have
Yeah.
been one of my co-drivers, and then they didn't do the qualifying. He was going to be my co-driver this last year at King of the Hammers, and they ended up not letting the stock class qualify. We just drew names, so it was just straight into the race with Kurt. So I'm still looking for that one race that me and him could go out to do together, father and son, and then yeah, probably by then I'll be raced out and happy to go back and do what I used to do, road trips, and I got a couple things planned for
Yeah.
Wendy and myself. Trying to get this 55 built, so that can be the new, let's get in it and go do something, so maybe cross country, maybe, who knows, Colorado, we'll
Yeah.
see. But
Well,
yeah,
last
go ahead.
last September, I was just getting my 2F working right and running right and about ready to
Mhm.
be my daily driver. And I was actually one of those people who I was accelerating in my 69 with the new 2F that I just built. I was accelerating uphill and I was going 45 miles an hour. I'm like, yes! And I took a picture. I'm like, I'm harnessing my inner Rob to go up this hill.
Well,
And
I think we all do that. I think everybody that owns a cruiser at some point in their life, when they're going down the road, and they're looking down at their gauges, and they're looking at their speedometer. I don't know too many people that haven't taken a screenshot or a photo of their speedometer, like, yes, this is what it's supposed to do, or you just get so excited, and holy crap,
yeah,
I'm doing 68 miles an hour. How cool is that?
you know,
No, that's awesome.
when
Yeah, you always have that feeling of accomplishment.
so when you're at Bonneville, is it like a
Hmm.
drag race start where you get to the starting line and then you have as much time as you can to get up to the speed and before the course ends, or is it a running
So
start?
the way it works, yeah. So with the Utah Salt Flats Racing Association is the club that I belong to in Utah, and they're the ones that run World of Speed Week in September. And the way they do it is they have what they call clubs. So they have basically like a stock club, and then they have the 130-mile club, 150-mile-an-hour club, and then they have the unlimited. And when I first met them, we were talking about what I wanted to do with the truck. And when they teched my truck, they said, well, technically, with the roll cage, the safety gear, fire suit and everything, your truck qualifies to be in the 150-mile-an-hour club, which allows you to run on the 2-mile course. And for me, that was a big perk, because we need as much distance as we can to try to get it up
Absolutely.
to any speed. So, so I signed up for the 150-mile-an-hour club. Now, of course, we all realize that the truck's not going to do 150 miles an hour. But
Yeah.
the only limiting factor in my speed, and this is when I worked with Todd uh, that day with the tires, was you're only limited by the speed rating on your tires. So the speed rating on our tires that we have on there now is 112 miles an hour. That's what they're rated for. Uh, which is perfect because all we want to do is get to 100. So we're basically, that covers everything for the 150 mile an hour club. They just say, hey, you can't go faster than 112. Perfect. I'm okay with that. You know, there was a young lady we met. She drove her Mini Cooper from like Tennessee. She had this thing tuned, and she was in her 60s, and she drove all the way from Tennessee to the World of Speed Week at Bonneville, and her first run, she wanted to be in the 130 mile an hour club. Her first run, she did like 132 miles an hour in this Mini Cooper. And we were like, holy smokes. So you can bring your factory stock. There are limitations to that. Someone would have to investigate that if they wanted to, because of course I was just concerned more with what we needed to do. But yeah, they have different rules for the different clubs. You know, obviously we've got a full cage, we have fire suppression in the truck, we've got I was required to run a windshield, which was fine. The tires were a big deal. And then, of course, my fire suit, my helmet, gloves, and everything else, that we pretty much didn't have a problem passing any of that. And so now we're good for this year, you know, because we pre-teched everything. One of the biggest things that the guy told me, that people drive all the way out there because they don't really read the rule book, and they'll get out there and they'll go through tech, and at World of Speed Week, you're required to have 2 throttle return springs. And he goes, I can't tell you how many people come out here and we go to look at the truck. We're like, you got to have 2 springs. That's required. And they're serious about that. And people are running back and forth to Napa trying to get springs and figure out how to mount something, you know? And, but yeah, it was great. That was, so my goal this year is we're going to go back in September. And it's a bummer because Cruiser Fest is the following weekend that we will be out there. So in a perfect world, we'll go out there, get our 100 mile an hour speed record, and then we will have, because we couldn't take the truck over last year, and then have the truck there at the 4x4 Engineering Bradley Wheel booth at Cruiser Fest this year for 2026. So if people want to come out, they happen to be out at Cruiser Fest, you're going to actually get to see the truck. And the way it is now, as we call it, the Bonneville 45. And yeah, come out and see it, you know, take pictures with it. You know, if we have the air dam out there, you know, maybe you could sign it. But that's kind of what I want to do this year.
So do you know if Justin has any tricks or surprises up his sleeve to get from 87 to 100 in that 1F motor?
Which Justin? Redline?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, the problem, well, it's not a problem. It's just, you know, and I love the guy to death. He's been there to help us and support us. And, you know, he actually flew into Valley Hybrids when we first, 2 years ago, when we first put the Holley Sniper on, and we put all the Redline stuff on it. And, the thing with the tune, I mean, the guy, obviously he's been doing this a long time and he knows what he's doing, but it's really hard for someone, you know, to narrow down a tune to get the maximum amount of speed out of anything when all you've got is like 1 run or 2 runs, because we were only limited we had 6 runs. That was it. That's what we paid for, and that's what we're allowed. So, you know, we did the first 3 runs, almost 4 runs, you know, just trying to, again, let the sniper learn. And then, they'd went in, they, was trying a couple different things. And, it's just, it's a lot of pressure on someone to try, like, okay, basically guessing, well, we're going to want this many AFRs at this point and this at this maximum RPM. And, so, yeah, it's the 1F motor for me. It wants you to just dump fuel down the carburetor. It just wants, they want a lot of fuel. And,
Yeah.
at least what I've had off road, the thing works phenomenal. On the street, I think that's one of the best products out there. But trying to do something like what we were trying to do, when you've only got
Yeah.
so much vacation time and so many places where you can actually do this, where you can have the computer. And I'm not a computer. He's that poor guy. He's tried to send me stuff, and it's just like, bro. I mean, talking to a guy that still uses hand tools, and if I'm still on analog. I'm not on. Give me
Yeah.
something with dial up. I'll make it work. Uh, so I think, like I said, we're gonna go back to the carburetor. We've got this Offenhauser 4-barrel intake manifold. I think we're probably gonna just try with a smaller Quadrajet Chevy carburetor, 4-barrel, and start testing it before we go out, because for me, in my heart, I just think it needs more fuel at the top end. It's kind of starving out, and if we just had that little bit of punch to carry us over the edge within 2 miles, I think we could get to 100 miles an hour. And if we don't, hopefully we'll break last year's record of 87 miles an hour, which is still a plus, would be.
Yeah.
And just go have fun, and just enjoy it, because why not?
Yeah.
And but yeah, everybody has so much fun with it, and I do too. And just driving it down to put gas in it, people look at me like, what the hell, but because the truck's still street legal, it's still licensed, it's registered, it's insured, so technically it's still a street legal truck, and
Yeah.
now with the glass in it, I can drive up and down the streets down here a little faster and kind of test a few things. But yeah, I think if we find a larger tire, give us a little more rubber overdrive, we're gonna, like I said, it may or may not work. Switch over to the 4-barrel setup. Uh, we're gonna. I want to lower the truck. I want to try to lower it another at least 1.5 inches, which is going to come into some design geometry with the steering. Although when we did this, I went into this knowing that the truck's only got to go straight. If it takes me a 1/4 mile to make a left-hand turn on the salt flats, that's not a big deal. That's not a deal breaker. So if we can lower it a little bit more and still have the steering where I have the geometry to be able to turn, then I think we'll be okay. And this was kind of exciting. So a friend of mine came over and we were sitting here talking about what's next for the truck. And then I kind of let it go. And then I'd mentioned it to my brother-in-law, Wally, and he just ran with this thing. Oh my God, dude, that would be epic. So then I got this big Pikes Peak thing in my brain,
Oh
Holy
man.
crap, how cool would that be? Yeah. So again, like I had a friend of mine that's an EMT. Oh, dude, if you have, because I have problems with altitude, oh man, we could run a little O2 bottle in the back of the truck, and run a valve up to your helmet so you can, and we could do this. And we had all these, it's like, oh, slow down, and Wendy and I, one night at dinner, I think I watched every Pikes Peak documentary and YouTube video I could find. And I was just like, holy smoke. And the history behind it is amazing. So,
Yeah.
like everything else, I started out with, went the Pikes Peak organization. I sent out emails. I sent them pictures of the truck, what we've done, what we want to do. And this is the way I look at life, So I got the rejection letter, and it wasn't like a to no. It was,
Yeah.
they were very nice and polite about explaining it to me, and they don't have typically a vintage class, and the problem is, most of the cars are doing Pikes Peak in 4 minutes or less, and dude, it's probably going to take me anywhere between what I figured 27 and 41 minutes for all I know, to get to the top of this thing, just to say we did it. And so it would be a major time constraint for them. And I understand that, but then when it's all said and done, it's, oh man, everybody's like, wow, man, that's a drag. And I'm like, no, think about it. How many people can say you got turned down for Pikes Peak? It's,
Yeah.
again, it's, I've always told the kids, just try to set simple goals in your life. It started with the Mint 400. The goal was just pass tech and see the green flag drop, and that's all we've ever done. And like, okay, Pikes Peak, yeah, okay, we tried. You know, uh, we got turned down, but how many people are sitting back there, or sitting in their garage thinking, what if? Well, dude, all it takes is pick up the phone, or call your buddies and have them come over and start cutting and welding, and throw an email out there, pass tech, and then just make it happen. you know uh I mean, I remember the stories Justin tells, when he was originally one of the first one of the first King of the Hammers races, and he was a volunteer, and he went home and said, I'm going to make this happen. you know Went home, started building a truck. you know and look at him now, two-time EMC winner. Kind of set the standard for the mini trucks. We were, I believe it was a race in Oklahoma, when we met Mick, Mick Henson, who also drives a 85 Toyota mini truck. And
Yeah.
I got to co-drive with Mick once, at the Nationals, which was just a phenomenal experience. I can't thank that guy enough for that experience. It was great, and walked away with a whole new outlook on co-drivers, because I sucked. I was horrible. I've never done this before. Mick just kept telling me, oh man, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And yeah, somehow we got through it. We hugged it out. We're still friends. I love that kid to death, and he ended up that year was third place in the national champions, for Ultra 4 USA, which was phenomenal. And yeah, and that's kind of how it's just always played out, with this Rusty Nail team. We go in not knowing anything and come out, wow, okay, we got beat up, or that was a learning curve, or what can we do to make it better? And that's why I've always said, this is a family team, but this is a group of volunteers who are literally, in my opinion, the most professional, non-professional race team out there. And yeah, who knows where we're gonna end up in the next year,
Yeah.
with the class 11s, and Ben and his sorry Ben, go-kart side by side, I don't know what you call them, but it's really bitching, and
Yeah.
Mick's got his thing. They're bringing the 4619 out of retirement to run the Nora. We've got another Pete on our team. Him and his wife. They're going to run the Safari class at Nora. The Rusty Nail Racing team. We got Derek with the FJ Cruiser in Florida. That he's probably going to have a couple races over the next few years. So the team's still evolving. We got new people coming in. We got new technology, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And it's always just, if you're out there and you're at a race and you see anybody with a Rusty Nail Racing shirt, man, just feel free to walk up to any one of those guys and, hey, I'm such and such. you guys need any help? And, chances are they'll find some to you. I mean, again, I started out holding a stop sign, you know, in the middle of nowhere with Kurt Williams, and
Yeah.
greatest experience of my life. And most of the teams out there are like that, they looking for new people because they want to keep this thing going. And yeah. And there's a couple things I before I forget, I wanted to bring up. Uh really enjoyed the last podcast with Thomas. Thomas is a great kid. He was
That
a
was
young
that was
Marine.
such an amazing conversation.
Yeah, when we met him, I got on the phone the next day and I said, okay, two things. I loved it. You did great. You're going to write down a couple bullet points next time. Uh, I appreciate everything you guys said about me. It was awesome. But your friend's name was Henry that you used to go to Johnson Valley and Big Bear with. Big shout out to Henry. Uh, Matt and Sarah East, Danielle. Yeah, those were, the good group. But yeah, it was so funny, meeting that kid because he'd actually posted up something. Hey, I'm thinking about buying this. And is there anybody out there that could give me some advice? And I reached out like, yeah, hey, I don't live that far. I live, an hour away plus. And yeah, if you get it, bring it up. And it was, from day one, my wife was feeding him and doing his laundry and he's sleeping on the floor and, he got to know everybody and yeah, he just became family, and then we met Henry and there's been a lot of guys over the years, that have showed up at my house that, hey, I got your name off, I don't know, a wall or somebody told me, hey, and we've been really blessed over the years to have had so many people come into our lives just through the Toyota community. It's amazing. And,
Yeah.
and now, TLCA is probably the biggest it's been in years, and it's still growing, and they're making changes and doing stuff like that. And we always try to promote, what we love. So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool, you know.
You know,
But
uh,
yeah, he did a good job. So I'm proud of him. And Wendy got to see him when she was. Go ahead.
I I told him about this. I on my desk at work I think I counted 45 Land Cruiser related items on my desk. I actually have a an FJ45 blue pickup, and it's kind. I got bored one day and I made like an off road track out of some like
Right.
RTV,
Oh,
and
that's
and
cool.
I put the 45 kind of going up that little off road track, and
Oh
one wheel
wow.
is up in the air, not one wheel's up in the air, and I'm like, that is my tribute to Rob Tiger.
Oh man, that's so awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, you know, it, it's I keep I go out of my way to keep it like really humble. I mean, it was just I've been so fortunate over the years. Like,
Yeah,
Wendy and we were coming from a our wedding reception. We have a picture and in our FJ40 and we still own it, after, we've been together 41 years plus. And because that was what we bought, the first off-road vehicle.
yeah,
And it's kind of grown, and then meeting other people and then just getting involved in between I Hate Mud, because that's where I decided, and buying the 45 and uh finding out about all the different events, that TLCA puts on. And then yeah, my first road trip in the 45 to Iowa kind of like opened the door. People were like, who the hell is this guy and what's he thinking? And driving to Texas, I mean, we've driven to Arkansas twice. I've driven it all the way to Mississippi and up the coast. Uh, and it drew a lot of attention. And I wasn't doing it for that. It was just because, hey, man, how cool would this be to go to a Toyota event and drive the old
yeah.
45? and then getting, to be the West Coast rep for, TLC when I was asked to do that. So I had a really, I'm not dying, but I had a really fortunate, blessed life to get into these things and meet the people and be able to go out and do what I love with, Wendy's blessing. And then, people know the truck, and then I
Yeah.
just get to drive it. And, but, yeah, the people that have come into our lives and the stuff that we've gotten to do, obviously, a lot of people would love to be able to do that. And I tell them, dude, it's just, yeah, get your truck dialed in, carry some parts, try to, plan a route, or put it on Mud or now Facebook, hey, I'm planning on doing this for this, and I mean, I met a couple here 2 years ago, and they were actually broke down. His windshield wipers didn't work, and they were driving their FJ40 from Tennessee, and they ended up coming over to the house, and we got a motor, and we put it in, installed it, got him running, and they drove back to Tennessee. Amazing couple, and they are literally right now doing a trip. It's on Instagram. It's called Miles for Mutts, and his name's Drew and his wife's Ellen, and they're driving their FJ40 on the, I forgot, Old Lincoln Highway from Tennessee all the way to New York. And
Nice.
what an awesome adventure, yeah, they're just out there doing it, trying to bring attention to the animal shelter they work with. So it's just really, really cool. And so we've supported them. They've got some t-shirts out there for sale. But it's Toyota related, and they're using their Toyota to bring attention to, this facility, which is just amazing. And yeah, I hope they make it. Hope they don't break down. He's put some work into it, and it's super cool. And we got a lot of local guys here that, we all hang out and work on each other's stuff. And it's a good time. But yeah, I'm, you guys, crack me up. I'm just doing what I enjoy, and everybody's just, yeah, jump on the bandwagon and ride along. I'm not doing anything I don't think anybody else out there would love to do. I'm just, have the opportunity to do it. Keep it humble and simple.
Yeah. Well, Rob, we are over an hour.
Okay.
It was awesome.
Dude, this
It was
is
awesome talking to you again.
always great talking to you, man. And supporting what you do, man. I appreciate it, and I appreciate bringing attention to the people that have helped got us where we are,
Yeah.
and where we're going.
Yeah. Well, we all got to think 100 miles an hour for Rusty Nail Racing on the Bonneville 45. So 100 miles.
Absolutely.
Think positive and think 100 miles an hour, and that would be, if you can hit the triple digits, I can almost guarantee anybody in any FJ40 45 will have never hit that speed before.
Right. Absolutely. Hey, before we go, I just want to get another quick shout out, if I can, to
Go ahead.
the people that got it there. Obviously, Valley Hybrids, Terrain Tamer, Caritas Tire in Ukaipa, Bradley Wheels, 4x4 Engineering, Summit Steel, Bowfin Cruisers, Classic Cruisers, Redline Land Cruisers, Cruiser Cult. I mean, Amsoil. Ooh, boy, don't forget about those guys. I mean, they have just hooked us up the last 2 years. Matt Walls, the dealer out in North Carolina, and man, these guys have really, yeah, of course, Toyota, for building such an amazing truck, and
Yeah.
my wife Wendy, for okay, I'll see you when you're done, always being there to support me. No, she's just, Hey, you
Uh,
you be you. Go have fun, and she
yeah,
gets to hang out and be a part of it. So it's awesome. And of course, all the guys, the entire Rusty Nail Racing team, uh, couldn't have gotten where I am without all those people. And
yeah,
it's pretty amazing, when you think about it. So yeah, get a bunch of friends together and build a race car, or just build a truck. Go have fun.
yeah. I think that's the main point is just go have fun and don't waste the opportunity to have fun in your Land Cruiser.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate it, Dan.
Yeah, thanks again, Rob. We'll
Right
talk
on.
to
You
you
have a
later.
great night. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Classic Land Cruisers podcast. As always, remember to go to reefmonkey.com to get your Classic Land Cruiser podcast merch. Bring your adventure home with inlowgear.com, your source for custom Land Cruiser apparel and merchandise, where adventure becomes art, designed for the road. Again, this episode was brought to you in part by Redline Land Cruisers, Save Your F, by Manafree, your one-stop shop for Land Cruiser parts and service, by Valley Hybrids and Terrain Tamer North America. As for me, the mountains are calling and I must go.